Hello everyone, welcome to my mod spotlight on Matter Network. If you've watched my previous spotlight on this mod, I don't think you need to watch this one, but there are new features, and if you haven't been keeping up with the updates on the mod page, you might be interested in taking a look. So at its core, Matter Network is an item storage mod, but it's mainly for the end game. And for large scale item storage, we're talking maybe tens of thousands maybe of items. Yeah, we can do that. So let's get started here. We need to build our first item network, and we're gonna start very small. We need 3 buildings. All of the buildings are now located in the MISC tab. I'm gonna add the first building, the controller. We need a disk drive, and we need an interface. I'm gonna explain what each building does right now, but the network needs power. If we click on this, there's a cool UI, and we can see here that the required power is 1100. Each building has its own requirement, power usage. So we're just gonna add 2 generators that give them some power or fuel, and then now we can start storing our items. But there's a catch. So right now, the capacity is 0. The network's capacity is 0. The network capacity is measured in bytes because you're storing items as data. So 1 item equals 1 byte, so 1 steel is 1 byte. 1 bolt action rifle is 1 byte as well. Doesn't matter what the item is. And in order to increase the capacity, we need to spawn disks or craft disks, but in our case we're gonna cheat and spawn a disk. So this disk, for example, it's the highest tier one, and it stores, or the capacity for this disk is 32k 768, which is a lot of items. I'm gonna let one of my pawns come and pick this up and store it inside the disk drive. So the disk drive is where you store your disks, and now if we check the network, our capacity is up, and I can start unforbidding some items, for example, and pawns can start hauling in the items. So this is not only for storage. I can we can use this for crafting. We can haul items out. We can a doctor can come and fetch medicine from there. So it acts as if it's a regular storage, and I can show you this right now. If I set this to low, okay, they'll start hauling out the items. So it acts as if it's a stockpile, a shelf, whatever, and let's just revert everything back. Okay, so this is the first part, or I guess the first feature, item storage. Second feature that we'll discuss is this is a network, and this network interface is your access point to the network. So pawns go there to haul items either in and out or out. And we can expand the network, and I'm going to show you this. So if I do this, this now belongs to the same network. It has the same ID. As you can see here, all of these buildings have the same ID because they belong to the same network. The network just as long as you keep place buildings next to each other, placing buildings next to each other, they're just going to connect to the same network. So you don't have to worry about that. And this is now another access point to the network, and I can show you this. If I get my pawns over here, and then I have another, a stockpile. Actually, no. Let's try something different. If we have a machining table with power. I need research because I don't have finish all research. I'll ask somebody to do something with steel, maybe. Is there any recipe that can? Yeah, maybe this one, but I do need components. If I do this, then who's our crafter? As you can see, they're fetching items from this interface because both of these now belong to the same network. Both of them act as access points. So I guess I'd call this the second feature. Maybe centralized storage, multiple access points to the same storage, which is, in my opinion, amazing. Let's move on. We have we have a lot to cover. Third feature. This network, while it is very strong, if you lose power, you can't haul items in and out, which is honestly, a big issue because of a couple of things. Either like raids could destroy your power gen. Also, a solar flare could hit, and that would be like detrimental actually. So if I let's actually test this out. If I destroy these generators, okay. So right now, fine, you can craft. That doesn't matter. Even though there is space in the network, the utilization of the network is 1%. We're using only 195 out of 32k. Nobody's holding anything in because we're missing power. If I add this, like these generators back in, and the network is back on, and then we speed up a little, as you can see, they start holding again. So this brings us to our third feature, which is what I would call like network batteries. They are similar to batteries. There are two tiers. Like this is a small tier. Which one? I don't remember. The textures make it hard. Yeah, this one holds 2,000. This one holds 1,000. And if we check the network's power tab, we can see that our reserve is 3,000. Okay, so I'm gonna just use cheat. Now the network charges its reserve from the power grid, obviously. So right now it's actually drawing more power than it needs, because if you remember before, it was drawing, I think, 1,100, something like that. I can't remember, something like that. Yeah. Now it's actually drawing like 1525 because it's trying to charge its reserve, and you can actually like customize how much extra draw you want. So I can, for example, increase it to 400 watt, so I can actually charge more. Like I can customize it so I basically don't overload my grid. That's the whole point. And I'm just gonna fill the reserve here, and I'm gonna do a solar. Actually, that's no, that's fine. We'll do a solar flare. We'll do this using a game condition. Flare. Gonna make a solar flare hit, so the network will function even through a solar flare. You can see it's now, the status is now reserve, which means it's using its reserve power and it's losing some power, but at the very least, pawns can still haul items in and out of the network. So this is the third feature. This power storage is only reserved for the network. It's not shared with the power grid, which I think is very important, because the network is your top priority, and you can at any point customize how much charging you want to basically handle. Next, the fuel relays. We have this lovely building. Again, you have to connect it to the network. It's a retexture or a recolor of the multi-analyzer because I can't do textures. I'm gonna connect this to the network, and I'm gonna empty out these. Actually, no, let's not empty them out. Let's fill them to the brim. And we have wood inside. Okay, good. We're gonna empty them out, and I'm gonna go here. This building is a fuel, like a fueling building. It just scans nearby for buildings that need any fuel, like these generators, turrets, for example, stoves, cooking stoves, whatever, and it's gonna refuel them. I'm just gonna make it faster, like maybe each 10 seconds. I'm gonna force my pawns not to. It already did it, as you can see. It took the wood out of the network, and yes, it did, and it just filled the generators in. So that's the point of the fuel relay, automatically fueling buildings. You can even fuel shuttles, I think, like spaceships as well, using fuel inside the network. And that brings us to our final feature here. Where is it? Yes, the I/O port. This is the latest feature. I've been working on this, and this is actually why I made this video, because there's so many features. The first video that I made had none of these features at all. So the I/O port is like a way to import or export items without needing a pawn. So let's say, for example, I have Vanilla Factory expanded, and I'm gonna fine. We'll do like cheat power, and we need the hopper. Allow inserting, but we're not gonna allow taking. Priority. Fine, allow all. You do a dig for metal. Okay. And I'm gonna place the I/O port here. It needs to be connected to the network. We'll do that straight away. But first, let's configure it. So I'm gonna make it point to the east, to the west. Okay. I made this arrow because the directions confuse me. And we're gonna make it fast. I don't recommend making buildings fast, just to save on like performance and stuff, but for testing purposes, we're good. We're fine. We're gonna connect it to the network, make sure it has the same ID as the other buildings. Yes. And now we're gonna force this thing. We have it on input mode, right? So either you can input items like into the network or output items from the network to a selected target. In this case, we'll force this to finish, I guess. As you can see, it was pretty fast, but we can like wait. We can do it again. Network. We can have this open so we boom, boom. As you can see, items input into the network. Very, very cool. I love this thing. And obviously, the other way around works. So if we do like a stockpile, and we're gonna make this an output south. And there's a filter so you can choose which items to input or output depending on your needs. We'll just leave it on everything. And my pawns are standing still. Okay, that's good. And I'm not sure if priority here matters. Let's try, like, because this is now preferred, so this should be higher than the stockpile, but I don't think it matters. Yeah. Boom. Sick. Honestly, that's amazing. Oh, man. Okay. I think that's it. Do I have any more things to show off? No, we're good. That's Matter Network. I still have more ideas to add, but honestly, it's been very... like, this mod has been challenging, so I'm taking it slow. This is the current state of the mod. If I add more things, I'll make a new mod spotlight video and remove the old one. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.